Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, how would you like to be these people? You travel all the way to seaward Alaska to get on your 7-day Alaska cruise. You board the ship, you're all set for a good time. And yeah, they tell you, sorry, the cruise is canceled and you gotta get off. So on Friday, we had the Radiance of the Seas pull into seaward Alaska. It was having issues with its propulsion system. We hear that a lot lately on cruise ships. Well, apparently they couldn't get it fixed. They could not fix the issue and it affects their speed, etc. And they were told, and they sent a letter to passengers that we're sorry, but this entire sailing, they're not just changing the itinerary and maybe missing one port. They have canceled the entire thing, which means there's some pretty significant repairs needed on the Radiance of the Seas. Otherwise, they would kind of do it as they go and just use one engine or two engines. But it's a pretty major problem, apparently, if they're going to cancel the entire cruise. And apparently, passengers have been told that they can stay on board. They even provided free shuttle. They offered free beer and wine to the passengers as an apology. Everybody's getting their full refund back. They are also giving them internet to make travel arrangements. But here's the thing, flying from seaward is much more expensive than flying where their destination was, Vancouver. So those people who did not book their flights through Royal Caribbean are going to find themselves having much more expensive flights home than they did, and much more inconvenient. Yeah, it's not a good situation, but again, it's one of those things that happens, and people kind of have to be prepared for it. You should never ever get on a cruise and have no money if something goes wrong. Now, if you have travel insurance and everything like that, that's great, but don't forget, you have to make a claim. So a lot of this money you have to pay in advance, right? So if you have hotel expenses or changing your flights and you have to pay it and then you turn in your claim, you will get your money back that way, but you still have to have the money to do it. That's at least that part of the insurance. Now, if you're going in the hospital and that, often it's the insurance that they just contact the insurance company, yes, we'll cover it, and it's done. So just a heads up for everybody out there, you should always have a contingency money set aside. Just like when you're building a new home, if you always watch those renovation shows, they say, okay, the renovation is going to cost $100,000. Well, really it's costing $85,000, and they have a $15,000 contingency plan in case things pop up that they need to pay for. Same thing for cruise ships. When you travel on a cruise, you should always have some money set aside. Now, the bad thing is, if you did not book your flights through Royal Caribbean, I'm afraid you're on your own. You have to pay for those flights, you have to pay for your own hotel room, etc. They are offering, I believe it was up to $600 compensation, but if you've ever flown out of Alaska, you know those flights can often be in the thousands of dollars sometimes, depending on where you're flying. I know my return flight from Alaska was going to be around $1,300, so more than, not even half of what I would have to have paid for it if I paid for it and myself and didn't go through Royal Caribbean. Not great news. Now, the next thing we're curious about is what's happening to the next cruise. The next cruise is supposed to sail out of Vancouver, Canada, on a return trip to seaward. Will that cruise be canceled as well? Well, I guess a lot of it depends on the repairs, if they can get them done or not. Passengers had to be off the ship today. Is the last day they were allowed to stay on the ship. So I guess they're going to institute more repairs, or maybe they're going to slowly make their way down to Vancouver and carry on repairs there. But yeah, not great news. You travel all that way. That's a long trip to get to seaward Alaska on some smaller planes and out of the way places, and you're excited to do Alaska. And especially, it's almost like the last sailings of the year, right? We're into September already. There's not many more sailings left, so we're not sure what's going to happen. I feel really sorry for the people, but again, beyond control, right? Your car breaks down, your water heater breaks down, your furnace breaks down, everything can break down. And it just happened that it happened at one of the worst times for these cruisers. Next, we also have to talk about a statement that's been going around lately. Somebody emailed me very concerned that they are about to go into sail through Vancouver and through Canada on a cruise. And they've heard rumors that Canada, because of COVID being on the rise, was about to close the borders again. Let me put this to rest right now. There is zero talk right now here in Canada from anywhere I can find about closing the borders at all. In fact, I think if a government was to close the borders and start reinstituting COVID rules, they would be immediately voted out of power. Let's put it that way, because we're still not over the shutdown from the last time here in Canada. And it was devastating to our economy. It was devastating to our tourism. Many people have not recovered. Hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of businesses went bankrupt. And as you can see, our housing prices are through the roof. Our gas prices are through the roof. Our food prices are through the roof. And then to come out and say, oh, by the way, we think COVID is getting a little high again. We're going to have to shut down the borders. It's not. They're not talking about it. They're definitely not doing it. Now, cruise lines as well have been asked, hey, we heard that Carnival Cruise Line and Royal Caribbean, you're going to be going back to masking protocols and stuff like that. In fact, people have messaged the cruise line saying, please go back to having masks on board. You can wear a mask on board. No one is stopping you from wearing a mask on board, but the cruise lines are not instituting those rules. Until they are ordered to do so, they're not going to be implementing those kind of COVID rules. They may implement more cleaning and things like that. Now, COVID is still around. It is still a thing, but it is not what it was before. There are different variants. They're much lighter. People have been vaccinated. People catch it now and it's like a cold. People catch it like you're not hearing of devastating news of people, hundreds of people in hospital and passing away. And that's what we have to get through. And I know people are still afraid of what it was before, but it's not that right now, at least from what all the reports out there that I keep covering have been saying. And that's from the CDC department, the World Health Organization. Everybody has declared that the COVID emergency is over. And so cruise ships are definitely not reinstituting masking policies unless there was a huge outbreak on one ship. Then they might start passing out masks and things like that. But they're definitely not going to institute it unless they're told to. It shut down their industry for over a year and a half, where nobody was making any money and they were losing billions upon billions upon billions of dollars. They are not going to do anything to turn around the recovery, like telling people they have to get tested again, or telling people they have to be vaccinated again, or telling people when you get on board you have to wear a mask, because people will just cancel their cruises and won't go until it ends again. And the cruise lines definitely don't want that. Well, let me know what you think. Have you heard the rumors about Canada closing its borders or reinstituting COVID rules on board? The cruise lines are telling me they're not doing it, and you can know for a fact they don't want to do it. And as far as getting on board and having your cruise canceled, hugely, hugely disappointing. But unfortunately, things do happen. Well, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel blogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.